Welcome to Free Burn. This is Matt Ballard, your host. This is the podcast where we talk all things mental and behavioral health in the first responder community. Real life firefighters, police officers, EMTs and paramedics, clinicians, and doctors. It's time we have the real conversation and burn the stigma behind first responder mental health, one podcast at a time. And welcome back, folks. This is Matt Ballard, Free Burn 2023. Today we're sitting down with Nate Sturm with the Apopka Fire Department. Currently holds the rank of district chief. Is married with 2 children. And welcome, brother. Welcome to Free Burn.
Thank you, man. Listen, huge fan. I've been following you for a little bit of time now, and I know that over the past couple of months we've got to speak, but I'm just a huge fan of what you're doing and what you're supporting. I support you 100%. I've had an opportunity to listen to a few of your podcasts. I love it, and I know you're now connected with Next Rung, and just honored and very humble that you've asked me to play a little small part in what you're doing, man. So I just wanted to say thank you. And before we even get started, one of the biggest things, I'm a man of faith, and
Amen,
I just look back through my life, from childhood with loss and abandonment, and to all the things that have transpired through my going on 49 years of life. I just have to give all the credit to Jesus, man, because, without him, I would definitely not be where I'm sitting today, and doing the things that I'm doing. And I'm just very grateful. And I owe him all the credit and all the glory.
I'm right there with you, brother. Same for me, man. I mean, I know that all the struggles and stuff that I've had in my past, he's the rock and he's the foundation, man. It's brought me through it. So amen to that. I know exactly what you're saying and what you mean by that. So it's always good to have somebody on the other side, man, that feels the same way. And yeah, it's awesome.
And, and it's times where, I didn't realize it while going through the storms of life. But every time I came out of it, man, there was no denying that God had his hand in it. And I'm just extremely grateful for that. So anyhow.
Yeah, 100%, brother. I know exactly what you mean and what you're saying. He is definitely the foundation of my life and of Free Burn too. So yeah, I've seen him open up doors and do things, man, with my life. It's amazing. And there's no denying that it's a God thing. So yeah, for sure, brother. Well, cool, man. I mean, we've talked, I can't tell you how many times, just bullcrapping on the phone, right? And just learning a little bit about each other, and you get to become better friends over the phone. And we'll be meeting probably pretty soon here at the Dadgum Fire Conference. It's coming up, in March, right?
Yeah, March, man. I'm excited. I didn't realize you were there. We talked about it. I didn't realize you were there last year.
Yeah.
But, over the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 months, man, we've been in contact, been trying to get this scheduled and, life and everything else. But we've had many opportunities to talk with each other, and it's been awesome. And now I'm ready to meet you in person, bro. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be some good stuff. Several mutual friends actually that I met last year at Dadgum, and then just kind of another one of those God things, right? Was been put in my life that have made an impact and kind of pushed Free Burn forward and given us opportunities to be able to go down the Dadgum this year and have a booth set up down there. So I'm excited about that, man. It's going to be the first real kind of thing that we've done outside of podcasts and just local stuff. So I'm super excited about that, to be able to share a little bit more about Free Burn across the state of Texas. So it's going to be some good stuff. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, cool, man. Tell us a little bit about your fire department, man, and like the size and kind of how y'all run things down there. You're in Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm in Florida. So yeah, we're in Apopka. We're literally just west of Orlando. Pretty big city. We're, when I started, we were only 4 stations. We're 6 now. Our staffing is over 130 guys and gals. We run an engine company and an ambulance out of most of our stations. Station 1 is our bigger house. We run a truck company, a heavy rescue, and we actually run 2 front run ambulances out of there just because the amount of calls that we get there it's pretty busy. Some good things are happening, man. We are booming right now. We're building our sixth station. We have six. They're living out of a trailer right now, but the sixth station is being built right now.
Hmm.
Um, my entire career, I spent the majority of my career as a lieutenant. I was almost 13 years as a lieutenant. And back when I was a lieutenant, we were two-man engine companies.
Hmm.
So it was just me and the engineer. Since then, we have added additional manning. So now we're three-man engine companies. One of the bigger changes we had is we used to have a two-man truck company
Okay.
that used to jump from the truck to the heavy rescue, and now we have a three-man truck company and two-man dedicated to the heavy rescue. So we're doing
Okay.
a lot, man. Hopefully down the road we get to uh four manning, four people on the trucks. That's one thing they're looking forward to. We got another hiring process come up. We probably run, I don't know the exact numbers last year, but I want to say as a city as a whole, between 12 and 13,000 calls
Okay.
for the city.
That's pretty busy.
Good,
Yep.
yeah, good stuff. We still catch, good structure fires. Obviously a lot of what we do is EMS. We're really big and really proactive when it comes to EMS, but we're also on the fire side, same as well. We've always been aggressive, and doing some good stuff, man. I'm my entire career, like I said, I'm hitting 20. I just hit 23 years this month. This month is 23 for me.
Yep.
It's been an amazing ride. Some great things are happening, and I'm the tail end of my career. I'm seeing some things I actually never thought that would have happened. So
Yeah.
it's awesome. It really
That's
is.
good. That's good stuff, man. Same here. I mean, I'm a lot of people know that I'm in my 23rd year. Just started it in January. So, uh, yeah, basically a firefighter paramedic for all those years. I just promoted to engineer. So, yeah, tailboarding it, man, for a long time. We kind of rotated in our department for a long time. We didn't have drivers. We didn't have lieutenants. We had captains and battalion chiefs. So we just kind of rotated around. So we got a little bit of everything as far as riding positions and stuff like that and driving. But
Yeah,
uh,
and I just got same thing. So we call our battalions our district chiefs. So that's our
yeah,
title. We're district chief. I'll be
how
two
long you
years,
been in that spot? Two years?
almost two. So in May it'll be 2 years.
Okay.
So like I said, the majority of my career, I waited until I was probably 6 years in when I made engineer, uh, 9 years in when I made lieutenant, and then it was just literally less than 2 years ago that I made DC.
So do y'all not have captains?
No, well, we have a captain now. So my entire career before when I became district chief, our city got so big that we used to only have one district chief that ran the entire city. When I got promoted, we had made the decision to put two district chiefs on the road. So I run the south side. I run pretty much south side of the city, three stations. The other one runs the north side. And then we just added a EMS captain on the road with us. So now we have them, which is really nice because on fires, the districts are in charge of command and safety, and then the EMS captain runs accountability for us. And then hopefully in October, we're looking at adding another EMS captain. So we're trying to really, with our department, we're going to mirror the north side to the south side. We're
Yeah,
looking to add another ladder truck on the north side and just kind of have north and south mirrored, can kind of run their same deals. If someone's out, they can cover and bump up. So it's
yeah,
cool, man. The growth is amazing. So it's a really good time to be in right now in Apopka.
yeah. That's good stuff. We're growing steadily too. I mean, we're still just one station, one department. You know, 30 guys. So we're looking to add hopefully 6 more guys within this next year or two. So we're growing. It's slow, but I mean, we're a small city, right on the outskirts of Dallas. But um, it's always good to see growth. Not only on the fire side, but what we're going to talk about here in a minute, more on the peer side too. So uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, it's things are changing. So we just have to be willing to change with those things. So
Absolutely.
With that, let's talk a little bit about peer. Do y'all have a peer program through y'all's department, or how does that
Ye-
work for y'all?
yes, we do. Fairly new. Um, I want to say, man, they'll probably kill me if I get this wrong. I want to say within the last 5 years is when we really started establishing a peer support program.
Mm-hmm.
I come from that old cloth. When I started the fire service, peer support wasn't even thought of.
Mm-mm. At all.
Um, we not only was it not even thought of, you never talked about the calls. There was just nothing around it. And I look back at that time, and it's not something that I'm a huge. Let me back that up and saying I support mental health so much because I see the need, and there have been a couple of occasions in my life that really have stressed the importance of having those people around. So I'm a huge proponent, huge supporter. I'll do everything I can to put that on the forefront. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to talk about it. When I was a rookie and the first, man, 10 years of my career, man, you were more, it wasn't like pretty much encouraged to shut up, but you were encouraged to shut up.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it really just wasn't something that we talked about. And I'm not bitter about it towards the old school because the old school didn't know.
Yeah.
But now the my philosophy going forward is now we know. Not only do we know, but now we have statistics that back why we need this.
Yeah.
So now it's on us, and we're the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are going to be held accountable if we don't put this at the forefront, if we don't promote this and push this. So everything that I've learned now, I have a background. Took several peer support classes, several critical incident stress management classes. One thing a lot of people don't know, about 5 years ago, I was looking, I'm towards the tail end of my career. I was looking at some different things, got really influenced by some outside chaplains, and I was looking at becoming a chaplain in the fire service when I retired.
Yeah.
So I went and I mentored with somebody, and then I went and took my training for it. So I received my training to be a state certified fire chaplain, and so it's always been on my brain. It's always been something that I knew there was a need for, and I know we'll get into it deeper, but it's kind of funny because all of this training, and I say that to highlight this, all of this training that I received in peer support, all of the training I received in critical incident stress management, all of the training I received in chaplaincy prepared me to help others.
Mm-hmm.
But when the moment came when I dealt with my deal, I didn't know how to take care of me.
Yeah.
And I was so focused on others that not knowing how to take care of me ended up really flat out destroying me.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's try to not get emotional about it at times because I look back at some of those situations, man, and it was rough,
Yeah. It's
and
real, man. It's real and it's rough.
it's real because man, 23 years in, man, I bust my butt. I'm hardcore. I believe in the fire service. Man, I give and gave a lot to the service.
Yep.
And I never would have imagined in a million years that it would have been me being the one that needed the help. Here I am preparing my life. Oh, even looking at retirement to go into chaplaincy and help others. And never in my wildest dreams would I feel, dang, dude, you're the one that needs some help right now. And who's helping you?
Yep. 100%. And dude, I see that more and more. It's like you don't choose it, right? It chooses you whenever
Absolutely.
when you go through things, and like for me, uh, when I went through my stuff, man, I didn't know what the heck was going on, right? I mean, it scared the crap out of me, man. I was having suicide ideations, never dealt with anything like that before, and it rocked my world, right? So it was a little bit different for me than it was for you, because I didn't know what was happening with me, right? And then once I got through it, it was like I wanted to know everything that had happened to me, and I was going to try to learn as much as I possibly could through the different trainings and stuff like that. And that's what propelled me, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, even with that, you can still miss it. Perfect example, you, right? All that training and everything, and sometimes you don't even see it in yourself when it's happening to you, and that's the scary part of it, you know.
That it not only is it scary, but it creeps up on you so hard, man, that when you finally realize, and I know we'll get into a lot of this, but when you finally realize it and you look back and you're like, daggum, man, how did I get to this point?
Yep.
Like it is scary to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, been there, and I know, brother. I know it can be tough. You know, everybody has their own stories and their own journeys and stuff like that. But you know, they all seem to resonate on the core stuff that happens to you. You know, the things that happen are a little bit different, but how it affects you mentally is basically the same way, right?
It's like the first time I really recognized the need, I think what I love to stress to people about our profession and mental health, you look at the world today, every person in this country deals with some form of mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And these are just your casual bankers, teacher, like, and not to say that any of these professions aren't needed and don't bring on their form of stress, but
Sure.
life in itself with finances, relationships, children, that's a lot on its own. And now you couple that with our profession, what we see on a day in, day out basis, eventually something will get you.
Sure. Yep.
It's not the word is not if, it's when.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have this cup, and your cup is different than my cup. Your cup may take three quarters until you finally realize, uh-oh, I need something. My cup may be half, or my cup may just start to overflow until I realize. But it will happen, and that incident happened with me. The first time I really recognized that, my wife and I went through a really hard time back in 2017, 2018, man, and divorce was on the cusp. Dude, and that's why I tell you, man, like, God is so good. He so restored our marriage. My wife, man, she
They're the
she's my
rocks,
absolute
bro.
man.
Yeah.
She is my rock, and I can't tell her that enough and give her enough praise and credit for who she is in my life, because in this last incident, and we'll talk about it, I experienced a line of duty death.
Yep.
We lost a brother, tragic incident. I was DC, and man, without my wife, dude,
Yeah.
she's my rock, bro. She's my rock, and I owe her, and God, I thank God every day for bringing her into my life, man, because she ultimately, man, was, what people don't see is they don't see the behind the doors.
Mm-hmm.
And she dealt with everything that I was going through. My family was going through. My family was seeing it firsthand. They were living it with me, man.
Yep.
And my wife is amazing, dude. Amazing.
Something that we just did this fire life presentation here in around the Metroplex for a couple of different fire departments, and it focused on family life and how important that that family aspect of it is. whenever we're going through the things that we go through, right? And it's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And one of the ladies that I met through different trainings and stuff like that works for a local fire department here. She's a secretary there, but she kind of spearheaded that whole thing and the fire life thing, and we did it. And dude, it was amazing just to be able to recognize the wife end of it or the significant other end of it, and kind of show their aspect of things and how it affects them outside of the
Mm-hmm.
firehouse thing. So, I mean, a lot of people don't see that, right? I mean, you go to the firehouse with your brothers and, you put on a certain face, and we hide things very well. And you're going to come home eventually, right? And that's
Yeah,
usually where it
yeah.
pours out. So,
And
yeah,
that's exactly what happened, man. I was putting on that face and I was
yeah,
walking into work, and I've had people after I had come through everything and started talking about where I was and getting outside help and going to some counseling. Some people were mind blown because they're like, dude, I've known you for God knows how long, and you were the one that's always uplifting and encouraging, and you were like the voice of reason, and you're so stoic in the way you carry it and whatever. And they don't see that, man, because the moment I walked out that door, when I was going through my stuff, it was literally the moment I punched out.
yep,
That's when we get into it, I'll talk about it, but that's when the anxiety and the depression and the guilt and the responsibility and all these emotions, literally the moment I clocked out,
yeah,
and I brought all that home.
mm-hmm, yep. So let's break into your journey a little bit, man. Kind of where it started for you. Um, I'm super excited, obviously, to hear from a district chief or battalion chief, basically what we're going to call you here in Texas, but a district chief end of it, right? Because it sounds like to me that buy-in from the top down in your department is there, right? And a lot of departments struggle with that. You got district chiefs or battalion chiefs or even department head chiefs or whatever you want to call them. Not saying that they're not bought in on it, but it's just a little bit different for them. A lot of like the assistant chiefs and department chiefs, they're not running calls like we have. They probably have throughout their career, but it's just something new for them, right? It's a new change for them whenever you start talking about peer support stuff and the anxieties and the depressions. I know that they probably have dealt with it at times in their career, so they need to have that buy-in just as much as the guys from the bottom up do, right? It's very important for that. So I'm excited to know that you being a BC or a district chief, I want to hear that end of it, that perspective of it. So yeah, let's break into your journey a little bit and just kind of go there.
Yeah, so man, and just to echo what you're saying, I've always been that guy. I've always been that guy. I'm very open, maybe sometimes to a fault. I'm very trusting in people, but I'm very open, and I've never been that guy who's ever been afraid to show my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I can get emotional pretty quick. I'm sure talking about this, I know I've already caught myself a few times. But yeah, man. So, my journey started. So we'll just back up. So in May of 2022, that's when I became a district chief.
Yep.
As a lieutenant, I've always took extreme pride in my position. Every role that I held in the fire service, I've always took extreme pride and care for my brothers and sisters in the service. And then when I became a lieutenant, that responsibility grew. Um, it didn't matter what happened to anybody. I was always that guy that was like, man, what could I have done differently? Like, why is this happening? What could I have done? I always took that responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to, 2022, I got promoted to district chief. I got moved to a new shift.
Mm-hmm.
I got a whole new crew. I spent the last 13 years on the same shift, same guys, gals. Not that I didn't know these people, but I wasn't living with them for 24 hours.
Sure.
These weren't the men and women for 24 hours that I was sharing everything with. So this was a a new journey for me. Well, 2 months later, we had this incident happen, man, June 30th. And one of my brothers, Austin, we had just he had an assignment, they got asked, and it was asked by me to his lieutenants, and they were to pick up a trailer, and he got hurt.
Yeah.
And I'll remember that day in this time period. It'll never fade from my memory, man. It is on my mind every day. There's not a moment that goes by that I don't think about it. And I remember the call over the radio, his partner. I was sitting in my office. I was literally across the street from where they were. And it was one of those blood curdling calls on the radio for help.
Yep.
Austin had gotten injured, and it was hard. It was hard, and that's where all of this started, man. So he lived for 2 weeks before he passed.
Right.
And during that 2 week period, man, I had this anxiety, man, that was starting to creep on me. And I remember one day, it just on the way to work, and man, it just hit me, man. It was like I started fearing. This is prior to him passing, when the anxiety started hitting, and a lot of responsibility was being pressed upon me.
Mm-hmm.
And I hit it well, man. I hit it well. But I just remember coming into work, and there were several of us on scene that day, and for that 2 weeks, man, I was so embedded and engrossed in checking on my people day in, day out, multiple times throughout the day, constantly on shift. And that's where the decline started to happen.
Yeah.
Fast forward to July 15th, we had received some news that week that we thought things were going well for him. And we were doing a workout that we had created for him, and our entire crew, everybody that was involved that day, was doing that workout. And we just finished the workout, and we were in good mood. We were in good spirits. And I just remember sitting at the dinner table, and two of my administrative chiefs walked in, and I saw the look on their face. And they called me into the office, and they told me, and man, I just lost it.
Yeah.
I lost it, dude. I lost it, man. And my crew knew, because, dude, I didn't hold back. I was in my office, they were in the kitchen, and they knew, man. It was like, it was known.
Right.
And that's when the anxiety multiplied even greater, man. And it wasn't even a healthy anxiety. I talk about healthy anxiety. When I first became a paramedic and you're running your first calls, you got that anxiety, and you work through it and whatever. No, this anxiety was a
It's totally
unhealthy
different.
anxiety.
Yep.
I was so worried about my people that it was bleeding into my job. It was bleeding into the way I was leading my people. Like, it was literally, hey, chief, can we go train on this? And I'd be like, I want to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught myself several times, like, Nate, you can't do this, man. You got to let him train. Like, come on. Like, so anyways, man, I dove into some bad areas. I struggled with drinking in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And that came back. I
So at
was
that time, brother, I don't want to interrupt your story, but I just want to know real quick. At that time, when that happened, what did your department have for you as far as like any kind of help, outside agency help, or Or was it just it was something that happened and you just had to go with it kind of thing?
You know, I can look back and there were things I wish that were done differently.
Hmm.
The night he got hurt, we actually we all stayed on shift that day.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to go home. But to be honest with you, when you look back at that, if something like this were ever to happen again, we should have been sent home.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking because man, our department did not handle this. This is no department ever expects to go through this,
Yeah.
and nobody is prepared to handle this. Period.
Hmm.
So peer support came in, and for that 2 weeks, and even when he passed, peer support was available. Not only was peer support available, we had an outside. We have a college here, UCF, University of Central Florida.
Okay.
They have an amazing first responder mental health program called UCF Restores.
Okay.
It's free for first responders. That was made available for us.
Hmm.
But I didn't take advantage of it because I was like, I got this.
Yeah.
I got this. I can handle this. I got it. Focus on my people. Focus on my people. But little by little was I just chiseling away at myself.
Yep. Hmm.
So yeah, there were resources available. We actually had outside departments that I just remember firefighters from surrounding departments that showed up. Some of them had received counseling through UCF Restores. They were speaking on their experiences. Um, so yes, there was a push for that. But then again, like I said, man, it's very hard for you to admit you need that help. It's very hard for you to admit that you could talk. And it was kind of funny is because the group of us that were on that scene that day, this bond had been created,
Hmm.
and there was nobody within our department or with whatever that could understand what the complexity and the just the magnitude of what that was.
Yeah.
And so we were really all just kind of almost pushed away from the outside and stayed in our little
Sure. I can see
group.
that. I can see how that happens for
And
sure.
it happened. And like I told you, man, I was I was just so engrossed in that. Like it just consumed me, man. I was just so worried about them and so worried about their well-being that's all I did, man. I was literally 24/7 on top of my people.
Yeah.
And I was hurting, man. I was hurting, and these emotions were coming, and this anxiety I never dealt with before, and this guilt, and all these things were just level 1,000, man.
Hmm.
And I started drinking again, and it's so funny. This is how great my wife is. She knew it. I thought she didn't know it, but I would wait for them to go to bed.
Yeah.
And I have this little man cave that I'm sitting in here now, my little fire room. I got my
Sure.
my gaming system. It's my own little room, man. And I would come in here, man, and I literally, no joke, nothing I'm proud of. Man, I was drinking a third to a half bottle of bourbon a night.
Dang, Nate.
I
Yeah.
was, I was hitting it hard, and it was, dude. You want to talk about the worst thing you can do during a time like that? If my level of anxiety, my level of guilt and responsibility was already 1,000, this pushed it to 1,000,000.
Hmm. Yep.
And I was drinking so heavily. I wasn't sleeping. I couldn't sleep at all. It was kill. Dude, I could not sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally could not for months, months. It just consumed my head, and I thought
Hmm.
even drinking would help, and I would literally drink to you, like I told you, and it wasn't even doing it.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and I was just,
that's a whole nother realm when you start talking about not sleeping and then the drinking and everything else. I mean, that's a whole nother realm of mental health, man, as far as like not processing stuff the way that your body is supposed to process. If you're not sleeping, dude, you're on a whole nother level now. So yeah.
and yeah, and looking back at it, man, it's like I never was able to have the opportunity to have some clarity and to have some, you know, really clarity is the word. When you drink and you're not sleeping, your mind is unable to have a clear mind, and it was
Yep.
really, dude, that was like drinking 2 times in my life, man. Back when my wife and I went through our deal and that situation, I always found myself when the major storms of life hit me, I fell into that.
Hmm.
So
Well, that was
I
your
was
coping mechanism, bro. I mean,
yeah,
that's what you do.
and dude, I've always been a man of faith, dude, and I've always prayed and I've always leaned on him, but I struggled, man. I had that addiction. I had that
Sure.
addiction. I'd wake up in the morning and not even wake up. I literally maybe get an hour or two of sleep a night.
Hmm.
Um, feel like crap all day long. Um, go to work, put a smile on my face, come home, do it all over again. My oldest
Yep.
daughter, she's 22. My youngest daughter is going to be 13. My wife and my oldest daughter, they were very concerned.
Sure.
Um, and I was hurt for another reason, man. And there's so much to this. Um, I truly felt alone.
Hmm.
I was, I just remember reaching out to many people and nobody was reaching out to me
Right.
for whatever reason. And I know people say, hey, man, I didn't realize you were going through it. I didn't realize, you're the one that we always looked up to. You're the one that we always leaned upon for advice and courage, but I had brothers that I known in the service for 20 years, man. Some to this day, and we're going on 2 years,
Hmm.
still have never reached out to see how I was.
Yeah.
And that really, really, really hurt me, man.
That's
That
part of that
was one.
moral injury aspect of things, man, which is a real deal, and I'm learning more and more about that now. And it's like, dude, that's real. That moral injury into stuff is real. So yeah.
And I just a lot of one of the one things that attracted me to the fire service back in the day, I always had this. I wanted to go military route at the time. My wife wasn't about it, but I loved the brotherhood, sisterhood, camaraderie, paramilitary feel that the fire service brought.
Hmm.
And so when I went through that situation, the people whom I thought were brothers for 20 plus years were nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
And it really struck me hard, man. Like it dug so deep, and I mean I struggled with that immensely,
Yep.
immensely, bro. And fast forward, my wife, man, my wife and my daughter, they were on me, and it's almost like for them, they're walking on eggshells because they know, man, I'm volatile at this point.
Sure.
I've had outbursts, moments of anger. I remember moments of just getting onto my children for no rhyme or reason, dude. Getting onto
Hmm.
my wife, just being sorry, but an ass in the
Yep.
house.
Hmm.
Um, and the drinking and everything else, just my home life was getting absolutely wrecked, and nobody saw it but my wife and kids.
Sure.
And they pushed, and they pushed, and I ignored it for months. I was like, nope, you're like, you got this. Like, I got this. I got this. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I got this.
Hmm.
Nope, happens again, baby. I hear what you're saying. I got this.
Yep.
And I pushed and pushed and pushed. And the moment that really opened my eyes to needing help, and sorry if I'm all over the place, but I
Nah, bro,
remember
you're good. We got you. You know that.
before I say that moment, when I went through my one thing I'll say about counseling that I had a differing opinion about, and it was jaded and it was wrong. But
Hmm.
when I was going through my marriage issues back 6, 7 years ago, I'm a man of faith. I wanted to seek Christian counsel for our marriage. My wife went to see non-Christian counsel. That non-Christian counsel, after her first meeting with her, basically said, your marriage can't be repaired. You need to divorce this man today.
Yeah. Not cool.
And that
Yeah.
when that happened, it really soured and gave me a very bad taste towards the so-called secular side of things.
Hmm.
By the grace of
Understandable.
God, go ahead.
I said understandable. Yeah.
So by the grace of God, my wife and I, she agreed. We sought Christian counseling. We did it. Dude, our marriage was not only repaired and restored, but I mean, how it strengthened us, how it built our marriage, it just was unbelievable. So I say that in fast forwarding to this event, I was very reluctant to seek out help because of that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who to seek on the Christian side, um, that had history or experience with first responder trauma, first
Hmm.
responder mental health. But
Yep.
it was a conversation one night, um, with a chaplain. So before I had this conversation with the chaplain, the one thing that made me decide to get help was my at the time 11-year-old daughter.
Hmm.
And I just remember that day, man, my wife, not even saying this to be malicious, we just have an open conversation. My daughter her prayers at night were to bring my daddy back.
Hmm.
And she said something to my wife one night, and my wife told me, and she literally, her little heart, man, just said, I miss my daddy. He's not the same. He don't love me like he used to.
Hmm.
And it literally, and I fell to my knees, bro. I fell to my knees, and I hate that I let it get to that. I hate that I didn't heed, what my wife and my other daughter were saying. But that broke me, man. That was the dagger to the heart. That shook me so hard. And I remember, this chaplain from Marion County, who was getting me, I mentored with to get into the chaplaincy program, picked his brain. And I shared with him my concern with reaching out for help and not being Christian. And he made one simple statement. And once he said it, I was like, received. And he
Yep.
said, Nate, he's like, when your child gets sick, you take her to the doctor? I said, yes, sir. He's like, before you take her to the doctor, do you do a background check on all the doctors that you bring her to make sure they're Christian doctors?
Hmm.
And I looked at him and I said, understood. And he was just like, Nate, God puts people in this world to help us.
Yep.
And he said, you getting out there and seeking help and talking with someone, they're just added tools that you put in your toolbox to help you manage and get through this situation.
Yep. He's exactly right. 100%.
100%.
Yep.
100%. And he put it in such the simplest term. Um, and so I did, man. I reached out to the UCF Restores program, got involved with that, and that was amazing,
Yeah.
bro. That was just, I probably did, man. I went through 2 sessions. I went through the first part with dealing with the extreme anxiety, the drinking, the guilt, the responsibility. Those were my heavy, heavy, heavy issues on that first go around. And
Right.
I probably did 12 sessions,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to, we got to a point where it was like, okay, cool, you're doing good. Like, you're
Yep.
doing good. How about we follow up in, 3 months, see where you're at, then we'll follow up in 6 months, see where you're at, and then we'll follow up in a year, and then that's that. I said, absolutely. So a couple months go by, and we've had some things, just transpire and within the department and whatever, and I got hit again.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, not only did I get hit again, but this time it was different. It wasn't those issues anymore. Now I was finding myself in a state of depression.
Yep.
And it was odd because I'm like, bro, I just went through this. Like, I'm good. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
good. Why is this why am I dealing with this now? And I think maybe it was there in the beginning, but it wasn't the most known reaction at the time. And once I got those other issues not gone, but controlled,
Right.
the depression sank in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I found myself just being very, distant from everyone. Coming home, I wasn't working out, I wasn't engaging with anyone. And and thank God for that first session, first series of whatever, because I was quick to recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
And I called her right away and I was like, hey, I know we're supposed to meet next month for my 3 month follow up, but I really need to see you.
Yeah.
So I went through another series of probably 6 to 8 weeks of sessions,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of recapping and going over and learning some new things. And just like I said, just grabbing tools here and there just to help me manage,
Yeah.
and I got through that, and that was great. And then, like I said, I did my 3 month, my 6 month, and it was completed the program, and it was honestly the absolute best decision I ever made, man.
Yeah. Tools in the toolbox, brother. That's what it's about. We train and train and train on the fire side of stuff and physically train, and everything. But it's like the mental aspect of things, we just kind of let those things play out until, unfortunately, they can grab you, right? I think
Yeah.
everybody should have to go through counseling, man, and just deal with the stuff that you've dealt with all your life, whether it's the cumulative stresses that, just the bills and everything else that add up. And then you throw on top of that the critical incident stresses that we have no control over, right? It's the calls that we run on every single day. Uh, those are the ones that we can't control those things. And it's gonna,
Hmm.
if you're in this line of business, it's gonna happen to you eventually. You're gonna run that CPR on a child, or major accident with fatalities. It's gonna happen to you eventually. Those are the ones that we can't control. With that cumulative stress, that everyday stress, we can somewhat control those things, right? We just have to get the right tools in our toolbox to be able to control those. And we do a pretty bad job at doing that at most times, right? You can do it for so long, man. And you may be able to go a 20-year career and just cover those things up. But eventually it can grab you. And when it does, it's not good,
No, and you're right. And it's one thing I learned during those sessions too, man. As a child, I didn't have the best of life, man. My parents divorced at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of issues with my mother. Um, a lot of traumatic and scarring events as a young child that you don't realize that you carry in your life.
Yep.
And just there were things that really weren't ever addressed either.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just great to go through this series with her and in counseling, because it really not only uncovered what I was currently experiencing, but also uncovering some things that I were bringing in. And
Yep.
then, like you said, the 20 plus years of being a fireman,
Yep.
and finally I hit that rock bottom. Man, I
Mm-hmm.
hit that rock bottom, dude. Like it was,
Yeah.
and like I said, I started off, looking back at it, sometimes, as a man of faith, you don't understand why these things are happening around you. You don't understand the adversities. There's a verse that talks about that, and how it may seem mysterious, and how he has a plan. And when you're in it, it's very hard to let go
Sure.
and see that. But I look back at, as a child and through my young adult and adult, my career, my marriage, that event. And I look back, and sometimes, man, I just remember I got so far down in that gutter and face down to that. When I finally got my head out of it, there was no denying that he was in it, and that he brought me through. And I'm thankful for so much, and just the people he's placed in my life,
Yep.
giving me the wisdom and the courage to seek help, giving me the wisdom and courage to find those true brothers in my life, and create this intimate circle of guys that I'm now a part of, brothers that, dude, like, amazing. And that's kind of odd because, not to change tangents, but, when I talk about that brotherhood and how nobody was there for me.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, I got a handful of guys that I'm extremely grateful for. Couple live in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
couple live in Georgia,
Yep.
one lives in South Florida. We are hours, thousands of miles away from each other. And over the last few years, we have built such an intimate and amazing circle, um, that I needed.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful, because it started when this was going on. You know,
That's no
those individuals.
coincidence, bro. You know that.
No, no, not at all, man. And we talk about it in the group because we all have a story about it. But, I knew, God knew what I needed.
Yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
was so heartbroken over the fact that I didn't have those brothers. And what I thought, here we are in the fire service. Where's that brotherhood? Where's that brotherhood? Where's that brotherhood? Like, dude, I've been with you for 20 years. Where are you at? Where are you at? And
I don't
then God
understand
just,
that. I don't want to interrupt you, but it's like I've struggled with that for a long time, man. It's like, dude, I don't understand it. What, and I've talked about this on different podcasts, man. It's like, what is it? What has changed? Has it changed, or is it just something that, I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. A lot of departments have that tight knit, or I would think that they do, and I hear that they do, that tight knit brotherhood camaraderie thing. But when it starts coming to mental health stuff, and you're on a whole nother level there, right? I don't know that if it's just the guys don't know how to approach that, they're scared of it, or like for me, when I went out, I was out three months the first time. The second time I went through it, I was out for 5 months, right? And my guys would check on me, the guys that I work with, my brothers and everything. But it was like, they didn't know what to do with me, right? The department didn't know what to do with me. They didn't have resources for me. And I'm not blaming them for that. They just didn't know. It was something that we had never had to, it was a challenge that we hadn't had to, be with before. So,
Mhm.
dude, I still struggle with, it's that openness, right? And being able to say, dude, I see you hurting. And I know that we see each other hurt, right? I know that we do. And is it the stigma that's behind it? Or is it just not knowing how to approach those situations. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I think it's gotten
It,
better, but it's still there. You know what I'm saying?
it's there, and listen, I don't want. I'm not. I hope nobody takes it this way. I'm not bagging.
No.
Like, I have some great friendships that I've developed through the years with guys in the fire service. Don't get like, dude. I do have many brothers and sisters in the fire service.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you what I've learned recently. There's a difference between the brothers and sisters, and what I'm talking about is the one thing that changes this, that makes this different and makes this circle, that if you find it, is getting to a level where this group is transparent. This transparent level of friendship, something we've learned, man. It allows for freedom.
Yep.
It allows for trust. It allows for safety. Like, this is all out, no judgment, everything I just talked about. Plus, it invites accountability. Like, that group of men, it's a different level, man. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not bagging. When I was going through that, I didn't have that type of relationship with people. I had good people. I have great men. There's great men and women in my department, dude. I have great
Sure.
relationships. I love them to death and would do anything for my people, bro. They're my brothers and sisters, and I love them to death. Just being real,
Ah,
when I was going in that situation, that's what happened. I was left alone, man, and I just was very taken back by, not all, but certain individuals whom I broke bread with, whom I shared family time with, whom I gone through the trenches with, man, like, that weren't there. And
yeah.
that was a very hard thing to accept
Yep.
at the time. And then, fast forward, and during this, these men, Kevin and Shane, Chris and Rossi, like, those back then, these relationships started, and you're like, "Yeah, that's cool," and that was one of the big reasons why I went to Dadgum last year, because I started developing that relationship with my best friend, Mark Rossi. We met in a class he taught, and dude, we hit it off, and we have been, 4 or 5 years now. That's my best friend.
Yeah.
Got introduced to Snow, Fluger, Bentley when I was going through this event. Um, and these men were like, whom I didn't really even know. It shows the character of these great men who I didn't even really know well at the time. Every other day, one of them's reaching out to me, actually calling me on the phone, and we just started developing this relationship. And it was the fire service that connected us. But what God was starting at the time is so hard to, I don't even know how to explain it. But I went to Dadgum because those three individuals were very impactful in my healing,
Mm-hmm.
in my process. And I told my wife, I said, "Hey, baby, there's a fire conference coming up in Texas. This is who's going to be there. I really have to go and hug the necks of these three gentlemen that I've never met in my life, but have been such an important part of what I'm going through." Without hesitation, she said, "You need to go."
Yep.
And that
That's
was
awesome,
that
dude.
was that was the main reason. And since then, our circle has grown a little. It's funny, we call ourselves a tribe, but it's our Bible
Yeah.
study group. We're
Mm-hmm.
great. It's great, man. We do Bible studies on Thursday night, and we had Jason Painter's involved, Tom Hollick's involved, and we just have this awesome thing, man. This awesome thing. And these are some brothers that have really, really, really helped me over the last 2 years, held me accountable, made me a better man of God, a better father, a better husband, better friend, better leader. I mean, you name it. These are the gentlemen that is what we're doing in this group, and I'm extremely thankful for that.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. I love to hear that. I'm glad you're on this side of it, brother. I really am.
Yeah, me too, man. And I'm really thankful for, this opportunity, because I really believe, I will say this, man. Don't be ashamed of your story.
Mm-mm.
Your story was written with purpose.
Yep.
And you have to believe that. And if you have an opportunity to share in your story and share, like you said, the other side, the victory, man. And I don't want to say this in. Is it still, are days still tough? Absolutely, man. Do I
Oh yeah,
still
dude.
think about it? Like, it's, I don't want to overshadow that and say like, oh, I am on this glorious side of it, and
Mm-mm.
like I never deal with this ever. No, that's not what I'm saying. But when you are able to work through it and you're able to get through it and control it, manage it, man, you owe it to your brothers and sisters to share your stories. There's someone out there that needs to hear your story. There's someone
Absolutely.
out there that needs to know, man, I'm not alone. Somebody
Yep.
else is experiencing this. It is okay to talk about it. It is okay to reach out. It is okay to go get help, man.
Mhm.
It's okay.
Yep.
Like, I can't stress that enough. And man, if you have the opportunity, you share it and you do it. And that's what it's about, man. It's leaving it better than you found it. And if you're truly passionate and truly care about the fire service, and you care about the well-being, the mental well-being of individuals, then you need to do your due diligence. And
Yeah.
I'm blessed and so humbled, and I'm very, just very thankful for you giving me just a small piece of what you're doing, man, because I really hope if just one person hears this and one person reaches out, then then that's it. It's worth it.
That's what it's about, man. That's why Freeburn does what it does, right? It's not about me. It's about journeys and stories that can have life impact on other people that need it at that time, right? And I've seen it happen time and time again, right? Like your story is going to be impactful, man, no matter what. It already has been, right? And you might not even know that. I know you know that, right? But this puts it
No,
on a
I don't. I
whole.
honestly, I don't.
It has, brother. I promise you, it has. I promise you, it has. I mean, like you said, it may be one person that needs to hear your journey, right? But I've seen it happen time and time again with different podcasts, and even outside of podcasts. Just I know that people that have heard my story, that they needed to hear that, right? And when I say on the other side of it, it's not that you never struggle again, right? I struggle every single day. I mean, life
Absolutely.
still happens, right? But I have the
Absolutely.
tools in the toolbox now to maybe not go through it for 5 months, but maybe if I do have a hard time or whatever, anxiety, depression that kicks back up for whatever reason it is, I, I typically can get through it a whole lot faster now than I was back then, right? Because of the
Yeah.
tools of the toolbox. I still go to counseling. I still, go see my counselor for whatever reason it may be, whether it's just normal life stuff or it's a bad call or whatever. I just need to get sharpened back up again, whatever. Um, doesn't mean that it just stops and goes away, because it doesn't.
It
Life
doesn't.
does not. Life does not stop just like that. Sorry, it
No.
doesn't happen like that.
And there are different levels, and you are going to, life is a series of hills,
Yep,
valleys, mountaintops. Like, it it
100%.
it it goes. And just like you said, and the thing to highlight, and to stress to people, these tools, the best part about these tools, like you said, it doesn't mean that you're never going to deal with this ever again. It doesn't mean that occasionally I still get that little bout of anxiety, or I still get that little bout. Like, no, that's still there. Like,
Hmm.
that it's not gone.
Yeah,
But the biggest thing is you learn to recognize,
that's
and
it.
that right there is the key to to doing well, to manage what you're going through, is the recognition first. When I start to get into that funk and I start to whatever, like I've learned to recognize it. And it's like,
Hmm.
hold up, Nate. Like,
Take a
no,
step back. Yep.
yeah, man. Like it's, and I've come a long way. And even since then, I've had other storms of life approach, and I'm so grateful because, I've given up the drinking.
Hmm.
Um, and that alone has, wow, wow,
Life changing, huh?
life changing. And I'm not saying like, and when I talk about, like, when I tell you the drinking, I drink every day, bro.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a daytime functioning drinker. Like, that wasn't me. What it was for me was when the day ended,
Hmm.
I buried myself in that bottle every
Yep.
night. And I no longer have that crutch in my life. I've recognized it. I've removed it from my home. Like, I don't even tempt myself with it.
Yep.
Occasionally, if I go out to dinner and have a drink, a beer, whatever.
Yeah.
But this ain't in my life anymore. Listen, man. I'm a Bush NA guy. I'll power my non-alcoholic Bushes. I'm like, I laugh with the guys. Like, hey, man, I'm going crazy tonight. I got my Bush NAs. I'm gonna drink a 12 pack. Like,
Yeah. Right.
but whatever you got to do.
Yeah. You got to do what
Whatever
you
you
got to
got
do,
to
man.
do, you got to, yeah. And I'm a big, I was a collector of bourbons. I loved having nice bourbon, but to me, you know, if it's here, it gives me access. And,
Yep.
and I say that because God can only do so much. And you
Hmm.
pray and you ask, and we always seek the hand of God. But what are you doing to help that situation? Like, it's not just going to be 100% removed. You got to take your responsibility and your accountability for the things that you do in life. So how can you do that? Well, part of it for me, like I told my wife, I don't want to collect them anymore, because if I collect them, they're sitting in my office, they're sitting in my room. The temptation is greater. Like,
Yep.
I know for me, I have that addictive spirit to alcohol.
Hmm.
So why
Yep.
invite that in? Because
Hmm.
because old school Nate was, hey man, it's a bad day, let's go have a drink.
Yeah.
And now it's not that. It's, no, I had a bad day. Hey baby, let's sit on the couch together. Let's watch some TV.
Yep.
Let's hang out. Let's, like, I'm
Healthy
really
avenues.
changing. Yeah,
Yeah.
just changing my focus, man. Really being really intentional with my family, focusing on that. I have, during those periods, I had pushed them aside, and I really, really hurt my family hard, man. And it's taken me a while to really understand and recognize this, but I'm doing everything in my power to not let that happen again.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. Super cool. Um, one more question for you.
All right.
20-year dude, 1-year dude, doesn't matter, right? What piece of advice would you tell them coming in, or like I said, a 20-year guy too? What's the most important piece of advice that you would give them when it comes to mental health stuff, if they're going through it or see themselves starting to go down that road?
Man, I wish 23 years ago, when I started my career, I wish someone would have sat me down and said, Nate, you're going to experience these things. They're going to seem whatever. You're going to go through some highs, lows. Some things are going to hit hard. You're going to struggle, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to reach out. And I just tell that young kid, man, if you're not reaching out within the fire service, there's other avenues, there's other people, there's so many resources out there today, whether it's through your church, through counselors, through whomever,
Hmm.
it's out there. But don't stow it, because when I tell you this, man, as 23 years in, you can collect it, and you can collect it, and you can collect it. But just like it happened with me, I collected, and boom. And you don't want to get to that level where boom happens, because boom is destructive.
Yep.
Boom can end relationships. It can end family. It can end your career. Like, boom is bad. And man, just learn to address it, be open, develop those relationships, those friendships, find the ones that you can lean on, and just don't be afraid, man. It's okay, dude. It's so okay, man. It's
It's okay to not be okay. You just can't stay
yeah,
there.
man.
You got to get out of it.
There's a great song like that. That's exactly, it's okay to not be okay, man. It's a great song, and it is, man. There's nothing wrong with it. And the more you walk in life, you're going to see that. Like, brother, I promise you, man, put 15, 20 of us in a room. Guarantee you, every single individual has gone through something, and probably the same thing that you have.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Hmm.
Like, nobody is exempt from it. Everybody deals with it. You just got to learn to be open, promote it. And I pray these departments, and I do. I think we're getting better,
Yeah.
because looking back, and you're like me, man, you come from that old way. But you look at this fire service today, you look at what Next Rung's doing, you look at what you're doing, you just look and you see it is being promoted. And when we're
Yeah.
finally addressing it, and it doesn't make you any less of a man, it doesn't make you
Mm-mm.
any less of a woman, it doesn't make you any less of a fireman. You know what? It makes you more man, more woman,
100%.
more
Yep.
fireman. It takes a bigger person to recognize it and talk about it and reach out and be open, be honest, show the emotion. So yeah, I pray for those kids, man. I try to give that to my people too, man. Like, I'm not afraid. Like I told you, man, I've cried many times at the dinner table with my people. I'm not afraid.
Yep.
You know, I want them. I
Same
want
here.
them to know. Hey, it's okay to talk about it. It's okay
Sure it
to
is.
get emotional. So
We're human.
I hope, yeah, and I hope some young kid hears that. I really
Yep.
do, because I wish 23 years ago that was at the forefront, and somebody just took the time to sit me down and say, "Hey, it's okay, brother."
Yep. If this happens, we got you.
Yeah,
No matter what.
absolutely. No matter
Yep.
what.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%, dude. And I think, I try to ask that every podcast towards the end. And that's the biggest thing that comes out. Just about every single person says, don't be afraid to ask, if you do go through some struggles.
Yeah,
That's
and,
usually the
and, and
hardest part is you recognize it and then saying, you know what, I got an issue and I need help. Taking that step to ask for help. That's a big step, man. But if
big
you
step,
do
and
it,
the more, yeah,
if you do
and the
it,
more you have people like yourself and others who are so passionate about it, and the more you talk about it, and the more you put it on the forefront, and the more you, like I said, the more you share your story, man, I will tell you, all eyes are on you. No matter these people, no matter people watch.
oh yeah,
People love to see you fail, and they hate to see you succeed. And all eyes are on you, man. But
100% on that. Yep.
carry yourself in the right way,
Hmm.
and sharing this. And the more people that just express this and sharing being okay to not be okay, it's speaking. It's speaking. I see it. It's speaking. I've seen it in my department. I've seen it with my young guy. I mean, we had on that call from the rookie,
Hmm.
not even a year on. We're
Yep.
talking like months,
Yep.
to that being the first major call they ever been on, to myself 23 years and all in between 10, 15, 5, 4, 3, 2 years. It was a kaleidoscope of makeup of dudes and women that were in that group, man. So it may not be 23 years. It may happen in your first month, man.
Hmm. You're not immune to it.
Nope.
I don't
So
care
the
if
more we
you're,
share it, just get it out there, man. These young guys need to hear it. They need to see our level of example when it comes to that. And I'll speak to those leaders in the fire service. You know, it's your job and it's your duty to make sure that your environment
yep,
invites this. It's on
hmm
you. I mean,
yep,
it's on you, man. It's people look up to their lieutenant. That company officer role, that's the most influential role in the fire service, hands down. And
yep,
if you're not creating that environment for your people, then you're doing it wrong.
yep.
You're doing it wrong.
It's got to change,
You need
man.
you got to have that serve down mentality, and you got to have that. You just got to have that out there where these things are okay. It's got to come from these leaders, man. It's got to come
Mhm.
from us, and the more it comes from us, the more we'll see positive change within the fire service.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you ever look at Firefighter Behavioral Health Alliance. You ever look at their website, Jeff Dill's website,
Mm-hmm.
like the suicide fatality rate,
Yep. Yep.
dude. It's just way too many, man. I mean,
Way too many. One's too many.
one's too many, and it's like you can see the change. I mean, there is some things happening, but we're still losing people
Yep.
left and right, man. You know,
Yep.
Dallas just lost one a few days ago, another one. You know, it's
Mm.
just like, you know, what do you got to do, man? I mean, you can't stop pushing. You just got to keep pushing and be heard.
Whatever it takes. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
You're absolutely right, brother.
Brother Nate, I sure appreciate you coming on, man, and sharing that story. I know that takes a lot. I know it does. And thank you for trusting me with that. And dude, it's a pleasure to get to know you as a friend. And you know, I'm always here for you, brother. If you ever need anything.
Yeah, man.
100%.
I like I said, I appreciate it. It's been awesome the same just to get to know you over the last couple of months, and extremely grateful, man. Extremely humble, and I reciprocate those same words, man. You know you can reach out to me anytime too, bro.
Yeah, I know. I know. With that being said, anybody out there that is struggling, having suicidal ideations, anything like that, 988 is the suicide crisis lifeline. There are so many resources out there, people. Next Rung, I mean, you name it. I mean, if I would have just known, right, whenever I started going through it, would it have changed things? Probably. Maybe I'd have got through it a little bit faster, but things happen for a reason. God set me on a path, man. And he allowed the things to happen in my life that happened. And not saying that he put that on me, but he allowed it to happen, right, to build me up and make me a better person. And I know that he did that. And I mean, here we are, next burn, right?
Well,
I mean,
you're with Next Rung, though.
I
You
am
got
with
put
Next
on it,
Strong now.
so
Free burn,
you
Next
are.
Strong. Dude, there's people out there, man. I mean, Fire Strong.
Exactly.
There are so many different people that are doing good, man, with the first responder community. He lets us go on those paths for a reason, man. And yeah, to make us better. And here we are. So
Mm-hmm.
good stuff, brother. Thank you for coming
Yeah.
on. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much.
We'll have you back on in the future and just check on you, see how everything's going. Can't wait to
Absolutely.
see you at Dadgum. Gonna be some good time.
Yep. I told you, save me a coin.
I got you, brother. I
All
got you.
right, brother. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, bro.
All right, man. We'll holler at you later. Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Free Burn 2023 podcast. If you or somebody you know is in crisis, reach out to the Suicide Crisis Lifeline at 988. Or if you're looking for counseling resources, contact us at freeburn2023@gmail.com. We'll do our best to get you to where you need to be. Let's keep burning that stigma, one podcast at a time.